I now call to order the City of Cottonwood Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting, Monday, May 16, 2022, at 6 p.m. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Peltz?
Here.
Commissioner Glasscott?
Here.
Commissioner Kling?
Present.
Vice Chairman Garrison?
Present.
Chairwoman Maston?
Present. First order of business is to approve the minutes for our last meeting on April 18, 2022. Do any of the commissioners have any additions or corrections? No. That looks like a no across the board. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I got ahead of myself with the gavel. We will ignore it. Our next order of business is informational reports and updates. Mr. Director?
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commission. Good evening. A couple things to mention. One is, in case you haven't heard, Jim is retiring in July, so he'll be here with
Congratulations.
us for this meeting and one more meeting in June. I want to say
Jim in June?
and then he'll be off to retirement. So, and speaking of June, the June P&Z meeting will be pushed back 1 week due to the holiday, so it will be on June 27th on Monday. So please mark that on your calendars. We'll send out the packets and the agenda, which brings me to my next item is we're going to start sending the commissioners the links to the packets as well as the packet itself if the size is doable in the email, so we won't be printing them anymore. If you do feel like you need one printed, let us know and we still will, but we're not going to do it as a every day or every meeting thing. And I think that's all I have.
All right, thank you very much. Our next order of business is call to the public. If there's anybody here, and I don't see anyone, but just in case, who would like to address the commission about something not on the agenda, now is your time to speak. I'm taking that as a no. We're moving on. We're now moving into new business. Our first item is DR 22-005, a request for design review for a warehouse/storage/shop building at 250 and 252 East Cherry Street.
Thank you, Chairwoman Maston. As you mentioned, this is a design review application for a 9,000 square foot warehouse at 250 and 252 East Cherry Street. This is located generally at the Cherry Street. East Cherry Street is a dead end. This is located at the end of the street. Currently, there are two existing similar warehouse structures on the property. This one would be located in between the two of those. The property is zoned I2 with the two existing warehouses and access and parking areas. The access is provided by the existing driveway on Cherry Street, and there will be 19 additional parking spaces provided for this new structure. It's a 9,000 square foot metal building. There will be a block wainscoting at the lower portion of the building. And based on the size of it and the floor plan submitted, it could be divided up into separate units of 1,800 square feet or greater up to one unit of 9,000 square feet. So it could have potential, there are options for the owner for tenants in the future. As you can see, the site plan here, the new building would go in between the two existing structures, sort of filling in the center portion of the property. Front elevation shows the front elevation and 5 doors, 5 garage roll-up doors. Here's the floor plan, how it could be broken up into the 5 separate units or any combination up to 5. This is looking, as you enter the property, looking to the north. And this is the location where the new structure would be located. One of the existing structures the other. It's a property across Cherry Street. It's a large parking area for a church facility and access to a proposed mini storage facility. Property to the east is a automotive impound yard. And this is the property to the east. Property to the west, which is, you would access this property off of Willard Street. And this is the front of that property, and the warehouse would be located on the property behind this commercial structure. From the Willard Street property, if you were to look to the east, that area just above the fence there, you would see the future proposed structure. And from the driveway on Cherry Street, this is what you would look at, looking east on Cherry Street. And at the end of Cherry, it goes into another property and dead ends at that location. So with that, that concludes what I have. The applicant and property owner are here this evening. If you have any questions of them, first, if you have any questions of staff, I'd be happy to answer those.
Commissioners, if you have any questions of staff? Okay, I think, oh, you do, go.
So on the plans that we were given, there's parking that's designated. Is that required?
They would have to add additional parking for this
Is it required
portion.
to be drawn and constructed as proposed? So what it is for whatever reason, there's a handicap space that's included in all this parking, and that space is right dead center on the garage door,
Okay.
which obviously is going to be a problem in the future. So I was wondering if this parking is even really going to be designated as being there, or delineated, or if it's just being shown.
The parking will be required to be, improved and striped and improved. If what we could do, and in looking at that site, would be just to stipulate that handicap space be either to the right or the left, or moved where it is not in front of a roll-up door, which could create
The parking
an
space
issue.
and the access to that space,
Right. Right. So it could either be moved to an area without a garage roll-up door, or to the end, like in P1 or P16 at that location.
Okay.
Generally, what the requirement would be to have it a handicap space as close to the building access as possible. So
I would actually suggest P7, because those are two
Okay.
access doors near those bathrooms, yeah?
I think when the applicant or owner get
Yeah,
up
I will talk
and,
to them about
confer
that.
with that, but there are options where they could move that one handicap ADA space.
Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, it is something that staff will address as well when they submit for their actual building permits. We take a look at all of that and make sure. So what you see is designated on here doesn't necessarily have to be what it is when they submit that. We'll make sure that it works.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
and we'd love to speak to the applicant and the owner. If, you got nothing? Yeah,
Bob Backus.
thank you.
Yeah, there's not much going on to this thing. We're just I think it's going to clean up that area back there pretty good, because now it's a dumpster and a parking place, and it's kind of just a mess, and it's been that way for a lot of years. So hopefully this is going to make a difference. Eric doesn't like messes, you know that. So I think he'll clean it up and it'll be a lot better. And wherever we have that parking, it just has to be level.
Yeah.
I mean, we just have to make a spot where it meets the code as far as a handicap parking. So
Yes,
that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
sounds good to us. Do any of the commissioners have any further questions? All right.
No.
That is very good. Do we have anyone here from the public who wants? We haven't gotten there yet. Just a second. Just a second. No. Okay. I was like, wow, normally I'm the one who gets ahead of myself. So I assume we don't have anyone who wants to speak for or against the project. We're good. I close the floor to the public. Thank you very much. Has everyone shared all their thoughts on this project? Okay, we're good. Now, I think we're ready to entertain a motion. Mr. Vice Chair, would you please?
I move to approve DR 22-005 to allow the construction of a warehouse shop building at 250 or 252 East Cherry Street, subject to the following stipulations. The project shall be developed in conformance with the development plans as submitted to the Planning and Zoning Commission on May 16th, 2022 meeting. The project shall conform to Code Review Board comments dated April 14th, 2021. The project shall comply with, is that April 14th, 2021? Is that 21 correct? Okay. The project shall comply with all building, engineering, and fire department requirements, comply with all airport and FAA requirements prior to the issuance of building permits. Why would there be an airport and FAA requirement?
Because it's close.
Right. As the crow flies, or I mean,
It's in a radius, yeah.
it's seriously, I've never seen that before.
We have an airport manager now that's helping us do things by the book.
Well, that's
Yeah.
good. Certificate of zoning compliance documenting the completion of conditions shall be issued within 24 months of the Planning Commission action. And there were no other stipulations presented by the Planning and Zoning Commission as necessary.
Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Peltz,
I approve.
Commissioner Glasscott,
Approve.
Commissioner Kling,
Approve.
Vice Chairman Garrison,
Approve.
Chairwoman Maston.
I approve. Unanimously carried. Congratulations.
Good luck.
All right, now we're ready to move on. Next item of business is ZO 22-002, amendment to the City of Cottonwood zoning ordinance section 304 design review.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Gary Davis with Community Development. We're presenting a proposal for an amendment to the zoning ordinance related to the previous item somewhat. The zoning ordinance requires most new projects to come before the Planning and Zoning Commission, whether it's a new building or a new addition, something that's going to be a fairly major addition that will, for design review approval. We've had a number of cases where it's, say, an industrial building away from major streets, in the middle of an airport, things that sometimes we hear from planning commissioners saying, why are we concerned about design review on something that really isn't that visible? So what we're proposing is in the section of the, or the subsection of the design review section, there are a number of exceptions to the applicability of this chapter, placing the onus on the planning director to grant design review for minor things like, for example, additions that are under 1,000 square feet, things that don't create a big impact. Thought it might be a good idea to propose adding to that list projects that are not clearly visible from a collector or arterial street. In other words, there's very little visibility for these projects. It might be worthwhile to have the planning director do it rather than to require an applicant to go through a whole month-long process to go through the Planning and Zoning Commission. So that would be our proposal. We're making a bunch of other grammatical cleanup issues as well. And hopefully this is something that could have an impact on helping people through the process a little faster.
Commissioners, if you have any questions?
Would this include what we were discussing last meeting about the level of garages, et cetera, to where That's an old.
No. No, Commissioner Glasscott, this is just design review cases. It's not having to do with any kind of development standards, setbacks, heights, things like that. It's just whether or not somebody that has a project that's, say, an industrial area tucked away, the airport, something that's not very visible, whether it can be done administratively by staff or whether it needs to go through the full hearing process and get on an agenda and wait a month to do that.
Go ahead.
Madam Chairman, so this was a topic of discussion when Mr. Backus came in to get his building approved, correct? So in his case, would we still have had this discussion based on these changes on his project because of their visibility from the housing project that's being built, or would it fit within these parameters you're saying would no longer necessarily need to come before this group?
Vice Chairman Garrison, the project that's brought before us tonight, the previous item here,
I'm talking about Mr. Backus's actual building on Air Park.
Mr. Vice Chair, no, in a situation like that, because it's essentially identical, the same thing, we'd look to do that administrative approval. If there's ever a question on, or we're concerned, could go either way, we'll reach out to the chair, speak to her about it, and then make that determination. But project like that, that's exactly what we're trying to avoid, and what you were just shown tonight as well.
Perfect. That's another case where it's not clearly visible from a major street.
Yeah, the only difference being its visibility from residential. So that's where I'm seeing a differentiation between the two projects. So anyway, thank you.
Yeah, it is somewhat subjective by its nature, just because there's no way to know every variable, but I believe that the staff will bring it up if it looks like there's going to be an issue. So, any further questions? No? All right, I feel positive about this, but I would love to hear everybody's comments. No comments? Really?
No, I think that they could do this function without causing a problem within the city growth, because they're asking about minimal impact. They're not talking about major structures like signs on streets or major visible buildings. They're talking about small changes to plan and reviews that would be very capable in their means to do it and get it done. And if there is a concern, they'll reach out like they had stated. I don't see a problem with it.
Commissioner Kling, I don't want to forget that you're there. Did you have any comments?
Thank you. No, I'm in favor of this, other than just if there's something that comes up that the public, might like to speak out about, which they're not. I don't know if they'd still be given that opportunity. Otherwise, I don't see any objection.
Yeah. Vice Chair Gamerson, do you have comments?
Yeah, just ever since I got on this commission, we continued to find rules and procedures that just get in the way of getting things done. And we've been very vocal as a group about it. I have probably led that charge more than I should. But we continue to see the rules get in the way of just doing what we do and doing what you do. And every time something like this is brought before us, it just wastes the applicant's time, it wastes our time, and it wastes your time more than anything, because you have to prepare for it with them and you have to prepare for it with us. So I appreciate everything you're doing to continue to streamline the rules and make things more pleasant and more workable for the people that we're working with. So thank you.
Madam Chair, one more thing too is, when we get a project like this, if we do that administrative approval, at the next meeting, we'll inform the commission of it. We'll let you guys see what it was, just so you know.
Yeah, so there's a track record of what was approved. That's good.
Yes.
Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm for this, mostly for the efficiency for the applicants. I think it's kind of awful the weight that people get into, and right now, you know, we're trying to encourage the economy, we're trying to encourage smart growth, and part of that is making things efficient. So thank you very much. Staff did a great job. I think that all that said, we are ready to entertain a motion.
Might want to open it for the public first.
Oh, just kidding. Is there public here, or are there public here? Does anyone have any comments from the public? No. Okay, thank you. It's like, trick me once. All right, now I will entertain a motion.
I move to recommend approval to the City Council the proposed amendment to Section 304 Design Standards regarding the purpose and applicability of design review requirements.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second that.
Very good. Roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Peltz,
I approve.
Commissioner Glasscott,
Approve.
Commissioner Kling,
Approved.
Vice Chairman Garrison,
Approve.
Chairwoman Maston.
Approve. Unanimously carried. And I think we do have a few discussion items.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. Just a couple items I want to mention regarding attendance and residency requirements for the commission. So we did take last week to the council work session some ideas on potential attendance changes to the commission's requirements. One of those was adding perhaps excused absences. We did bring that up to the commission before. You guys seem to all be on board with keeping it the way it is. Right now you can miss 3 regular meetings or a cumulative total of 5 regular and special meetings in a calendar year. Otherwise you're subject to being removed. Same thing with the Historic Preservation Commission. So based on your comments previously and the HPC comments, council was also on board with that. So there's going to be no changes to the attendance requirements for commissioners. There was thought on perhaps opening up the eligibility for commissioners to not live inside the city limits. One idea that was proposed was within the 86326 zip code. Opens it up to pretty much Verde Village in the Bridgeport area. That was discussed with council last week. Seems like it was kind of a split thought on that, so it didn't really go anywhere. So we're kind of, it's not off the table yet, but it's not quite moving forward yet, if it will. I'll definitely update the commission on those items, or that item again when it comes. So that's kind of where we are with those.
Madam Chair, Scott, did you also, in that same topic, was vetting of Pnz Commissioners, if you want to update them on that?
Yes, so one of the concerns from council was essentially rubber stamping commissioner applicants. If we have one open seat, we get one applicant, they're pretty much appointed to the seat. So moving forward, even if we have the same number of applicants as we have number of seats, council will be interviewing them. Right now we have 2 open seats. We have 2 applicants that will be interviewed by council tomorrow prior to them approving. They would not be approved tomorrow night and come back to another meeting for that after tomorrow night's interview. So that moving forward is how they would like to at least do that.
Sounds good. It's good to do due diligence. All right, I believe that is everything. Very good. I make a motion to adjourn. Can I? Second. Very good. All in favor? Aye. Gavel. Yeah.